Hi there guys, Jack here. In light of my recent injuries and in order to stave off boredom and possible insanity, I thought it would be a fairly decent idea to do a bit of a retrospective on some of the projects I've worked on in the past that have been maybe a bit of a challenge or particularly interesting, and sort of go through my creative process with you guys so you might be able to sort of understand a bit more how the sort of madness behind my creativity, I suppose you could say. So a while back, I was invited to a small group on Instagram of extremely creative individuals, and the sort of task was to create a knight errant marine. So obviously, these were the best of the best. I mean, even among Legion standards, who were brought into the fold by Malkador the Sigillite, specifically for their abilities. And they sort of fought what was known as a silent war. So they had no glory really in what they did, apart from amongst themselves, but they fought in the Emperor's name to keep the forces of chaos and the primordial annihilator at bay, to sort of sort things out behind the scenes, as it were. So we were each given a list of there was a list of characters, if you will, and initially, actually, I volunteered to sculpt Malkador himself, but being as I am, I can be very a bit of a hobby butterfly, so I actually didn't get round to that in the end. But instead, I had started work on converting up I think they're called eliminators, by like a Primaris eliminator into just a stock standard marine, and I took that a step further and created this chap, who may or may not be Sevatar. Again, it really depends on whether or not you buy into the fan theory that Sevatar was still a noble bastard, but he was sort of latent psyker, etc., etc. There's a very interesting thread on it online on Reddit somewhere. If you just type in Sevatar Knight Errant, it's certainly a very good read. So essentially, I decided to use this sort of very early work in progress and build on it to create my character. And I love this model. I really like the end result. Not to toot my own horn too much, but taking the Mark 10 Primaris armor, as a lot of you will know, I don't think Mark 10 remotely belongs in the Horus Heresy. And you could talk about Belisarius Call until Rebute Gilliman, or I should say the Khan, comes home, I suppose. But in all honesty, I think that it's within canon to have Marks 1, potentially 1 even. I mean, I think there's certainly an Iron Hands character with Mark 1 armor, Thunder armor, as it were, which was traditionally worn by the Kataegis, or the Thunder Warriors, who were obviously eliminated by the Custodes on Mount Ararat after the unification of Earth was finished, and the Emperor had already started churning out Adeptus Astartes to sort of further conquer the Sol system and beyond, to sort of bring humanity back in place in the galaxy as the powerhouse. So anyway, so this chap is very well known that the vast majority of knight errants who fought under Malkador's banner, they wore Mark 6 armor, which was at the time the most advanced armor available. It was very silent running, excellent sort of auspex and scanning abilities with the helmets, very, very movable, easy to replace parts, all that sort of stuff going on. So this is a set of Mark 10 armor that has been very heavily modified to be in line with those very, very well-known, famous aesthetic characteristics of Mark 6 armor, Corvus armor as it was known, as I believe Corvus Corax, the Primarch of the 19th Legion, who were the Raven Guard, had an awfully large sort of involvement in the development of this armor mark. So in any case, you can see that I've replaced the Primaris lower leg, the greave, and feet with these are actually Terminator legs from the I believe they're called the Phoenix Guard of the Emperor's Children. Removed all of the detailing on there. Obviously done my standard heightening, if you will. So lengthening of the shins, which you can see there, which I've used a mixture of Milliput and green stuff for. again, once my arm is back in commission, I really hope to start churning out a lot more videos with detailing the processes I use to create my own specific take on Marines. But you can see there I've attached those on, and I've done the soft armour at the back there just to tie in with the existing soft armour of the plastic model there as well. What I've done as well, I've sort of kept the cloak as much as possible because I think it's a fantastically well designed addition to the model. Obviously with the eliminators, they are snipers, so this is some sort of camellia line cloak, or sort of it could even be a very basic cloak, but I think that would fit in quite well with this character as a sort of silent hunter, if you will. So I've removed a lot of the detail from the chest, which you usually get with Primaris Marines. I've filled in those little, I guess you could call them gills, I suppose. You can see down there in the lower part of that chest plate. Filled those in and smoothed them down, and that again would have been with a mixture of green stuff and milliput. And then I've added the very famous piping that you get on Mark 6 bodies, okay, and given hints of where, from the cloak, again I've added some volume there to give hints of where that would continue underneath the cloak in a realistic manner, if you will. Now I've kept the arms from the Primaris Marine because I think that they could quite easily pass off as being Mark 6 with just a couple of extra armour plates there. I've taken the mag hand. I can't remember quite what model it's from. I think it might be an additional accessory from either a Primaris kit or potentially Sternguard or Vanguard, something along those lines. Added a little bullet on the top of that magazine there. And I've used a very nifty tool which I'd like to outline. It's almost like a very sharp chisel just to bore out where the magazine would clip in that gun there. Can't quite remember. I'm sure I'll pick it up in a moment. I think it's called a Tigris pattern bolter, actually. I think I've just knocked my own memory there. So his Tigris pattern bolter there, which again was quite an advanced piece of kit, I think wouldn't be out of place in the armory of a knight errant. So now, as for the left shoulder pad, some of you might recognise that as being either from Nathaniel Garrow or from Tylos Rubio. So what I've done is removed that from the arm, and I've used a rotary tool like a Dremel. Mine is actually from the now defunct company Maplin, that some people in the UK will know. But I've used that rotary tool just to remove a lot of the resin from the inside of there, so it fits quite nicely on that arm. And again, that Rubio and Garrow are both knight errants themselves, so that's a nice little homage, if you will. I think it's a lovely piece of kit, that shoulder pad there, so I thought I'd include that. Obviously, the head is from Sevatar. Is it Yago Sevatar, who's a much beloved character of the Night Lords. Again, I touched on earlier the fact that he may or may not have been a knight errant. Again, it's the jury's out on there. It's no definitive sort of history on him quite yet. But he, I know currently he's in chains. I think he's been captured. I don't know whether it's by the Dark Angels or not. Again, please leave comments in below if you know specifically. But I thought it was a very cool looking head either way. Lots of character there. He's obviously a veteran of many campaigns, fighting in the Emperor's name to reclaim the galaxy for the Imperium. So now, as for the backpack, I've used the top plastic section there. Many of you will recognise from the old, I think it's called an Anvilus pattern backpack, with the old 3rd edition onwards, I believe, Chaos Space Marine kits, where they have the little exhausts or little, I guess it would be an exhaust, that extend out quite a lot to the sides there. So what I've done is I've chopped those side bits off. I've taken a Mark 6 backpack, taken those little vents off and attached them on. It's done quite a nice job of smoothly attaching. I may need to gap fill just to make sure it looks like a nice, a seamless piece of kit. So I've added those on to go in line with his armour, the shoulder pad, the greaves, all of those sorts of bits. And then I've added the lower section of that Mark 6 backpack as well, and just blocked in using green stuff and milliput mix, again, which dries very hard and is an excellent material to smooth down using a sharp scalpel, or if you're that way inclined, potentially a very fine what do you call it, like a sandpaper or something along those lines. And finally, I guess you can talk about I mean, all of his kit there. He's got all these probably different types of ammunition, all that kind of stuff, and those would have been present with the Eliminator's body. Again, I thought I'd tie that in. These guys would have been operating very far behind enemy lines potentially, or doing all manner of different specialist tasks and missions that would require the very best equipment. So, but with the cloak, you can see there at the front and back, done a bit of gap filling, making sure that those folds look very natural and tie in very nicely with the backpack and his arms and the shoulder pad and everything along those lines. So yeah, so I thought it would be a fairly interesting video. Please comment below any feedback at all. If you think I've glossed over anything, as per usual. I might actually, just go back very, very quickly to the arm that he has holding the bolter. I just totally glossed over that. So what I did there is an existing arm that belongs to one of the Primaris kits. Again, apologies, not entirely sure what kit it would have been, but I very gradually removed, first using a pair of very sharp, I think they're Tamiya tweezers. Let me just double check. Tweezers, what am I talking about? Tamiya clippers, which have an excellent edge. And then slowly use the modelling knife just to remove all of the excess material there. So there was enough room for him to be holding that gun in a very natural looking manner. Now this is a fairly advanced technique. It just requires an awful lot of patience and a very, very sharp hobby knife there as well. So, but I think that you'll agree, or I hope that you'll agree, that this looks quite natural as a position. I guess we can also very quickly talk about the base. I'm absolutely bananas about these Green Stuff World little bricks. There's a manner of different materials here. So the bricks from Green Stuff World, the little, I guess it would be a drainage cover, or whatever you call it. That was from a very old Games Workshop basing kit, actually. And I've cut that down, smoothed those bricks out, so it was capable. So I was able to slot that in very nicely. So again, it looks like some sort of, maybe he's in some sewage system or something along those lines. And the chain itself is from Zinj Industries. So it's like a rubber chain with a metal core, so you can quite easily shape it as desired. And the little empty shell casings there were made just using, I believe, 1 millimeter plastic rod, with one of the sides very, very gently sort of scalloped out or hollowed out using the tip of a very, very sharp, new modelling knife. So, but anyway, now I've covered that. Again, any questions at all, always leave below. Whether you like this video or not, it's very important for me to know your feedback and see where you're coming from, what sort of things that you're interested in, any specific characters that you'd like me to outlay as well, painted or unpainted. I did a while back make an awful lot of effort to make sure that I wrote fluff for every single character model that I made. So in my current state, my injured state, it may be a very good idea for me to get back to that moving forwards. So, but anyway, please, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know what you think, and yeah, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel, and I'll hopefully crank out more videos in the coming days. Cheerio.